How do you continue that? What's predictable with human beings is it is this aha kind of moment, and slowly it gets whittled back to our daily lives, right? And what's predictable, not certain, like it has to happen, that you all will scatter, you may come back to do your project. I want to know what you're committing to tonight, because I'm here by you. What are you committing to tonight to carry this forward?
Oh, well, I just want to say bracelets, and I shouldn't have. But be bold is like this whole trip. And so, like, whenever I look at and I be bold on there, then that just meant everything that we went through. Even though you can't really say it to others, you can still remember it through pictures and stuff. And I know that I try as hard as I can. And at the beginning of the trip, I devoted myself to the trip, and the trip's not over, so.
For me,
I'm very sorry, Alex and Lindsay.
For me, with all of the motivation to be in my community, I have learned a lot about myself, and one of the things I've learned about myself is that I tend to forget about myself when I'm taking care of other people, and I've given myself this whole new perspective on how I live. I mean, entirely different. And one thing that I'm working on is confronting situations where I need to stand up for myself, and I need to do things that don't sacrifice my feelings or don't sacrifice basically what I need from other people because other people want something. And so that, I don't think I'm going to stop doing that. I mean, once I realized that I've put myself through a lot of situations, and it's entirely my fault for the most part, just letting that happen to me. And now I have this motivation to stop that I have a right to speak up for myself every once in a while. I have a right to say what I need from other people, and that's what I'm taking back mostly.
I hated the person I chose in the past. And so there's no way I'm going to go back to that person and how I interact with people. So I'm not, the only thing I can do now is move forward and grow and keep learning about myself. The lesson we learned on this trip, I'm going to take with me, and in my environment, it's now part of me. So I'm not going to go back to what I was because of that crap, honestly.
When we were in Bratislava, Michael introduced a concept of finished versus complete, and how our trip is over. We're no longer in Bratislava, and we don't get to wake up and have ham and butter sandwiches for breakfast. So it's finished, but it's not anywhere close to complete. We still have things to do. We have changes to make, and we committed to do things, and we're going to keep it.
Yeah, probably for me, like one of my biggest fears for coming home was losing what I've learned and like waking up one morning and just not doing it. And I think that fear in a way motivates me. And I think back, like literally this whole night, like I slept, but I felt like my mind was racing, and I'm like going over everything that just happened. And I don't want to forget it. And like I feel like I make a conscious effort now. Like what I learned, like I find myself doing something like, okay, I'm speaking, I'm putting my hand in my pocket. Oh, we learned about let's not be like that. It's just little lessons that I go back to, and like walking around doing the Wuji in a public place. Like I want to go in Denver and just like bust out in a Wuji. I want to go someplace and just freak people out. Shoot straight with people and be yourself. And I think that motivates me. And I see all these people and I want to check in with them. When I'm
hard for me just being able to communicate with all these, knowing them, and it was just great seeing how I interact with them in such a short amount of time. And I got to see a better view of, and I don't think that I would have been able to do it without all these people that were there. To really helps me a lot. Like today, I got meetings. Thank you.
One of the most important things that I learned on this trip was to meet people from all life. Some of the most horrifying things still going on today, not being able to talk to them. So I learned that there's no such thing as a language. You not be able to understand each other verbally, you can to spend more time with that person, which is really important. Want to get to understand, so I learned how to talk to people.
But it is really
changed because I always knew that in the classroom it's not academics. I mean, I've always felt that just how it even heightened how enhancing can be human connections there. So I'm going to really implement that in terms of how I go about my classroom.
There's this magical element to bold leaders that it's like once a bold leader, always a bold leader, and very much essence. When we were in Prague at the museum, the National Museum, which for me was one of my most moving moments because we're in this area and there's this huge statue of King Wenceslas, which we know from the song. And so I'm going to tell you, to that moment, I had seen things in that Hitler went through there and Nazis right through that. How much had happened and all these tourists running around where I'm like, do they even have any sense of what happened right here? And just thinking about how we were making our own history there as well. And when we were waiting to leave and actually about to go, there were some people who came to protest and stand up for Nina, comes running out of, like, I don't know where she came from, comes running out to Brady and gives him this huge hug. And she was in a bold leader program, I think maybe 2 years ago. Yeah. And there, and trained to get there, a little bit of time, but one of the guys wanted to reconnect, and it spoke volumes about how and how important this is for people. That a girl from Cyprus would go out of her way to be able to connect and meet these guys and talk about her experience and find out about what they were doing. And I think we all have 15 minutes with her. So that is something that I think we're going to see with these guys as well. It is. It's with them.